Hey friends, you're watching BrainStormAcres. I'm Henry.
And I'm Irene.
Today we have a few questions that we're going to provide some answers to. The first of which is, Ronald from the UK asked, how do we get vegetables to not be mushy?
Yeah, we've actually had a couple of people talk to us about mushy vegetables from freezing this year.
And the answer is not that difficult, but it's also not that simple. What causes the vegetables, when you freeze them, to get mushy is the growth of ice crystals in the fiber of the vegetable. The way that gets controlled in professional canning operations, and that is professional freezing operations, is they flash freeze it really fast. And when I say flash freeze, we're talking about running the vegetables through a cold tunnel that's -80, -90 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's really cold. Well, what we do is a variation of that. First, you need to make sure that when you're blanching your vegetables, you don't blanch them too long.
Yeah, you're not trying to cook them. You're just trying to stop the enzymes in the vegetable that cause the vegetable to continue aging while it's in the freezer.
Now, if you're only going to keep your vegetables for a very short period of time, a month or two,
Right.
you can freeze without blanching.
Right.
We blanch because we never know exactly when we're going to use our vegetables.
Well, last night I didn't have enough green beans from our current crop for the stir fry. I grabbed some from last year. I still have about, maybe 5 or 6 packs from last year.
So here's how we do it. We blanch our vegetables in boiling water. We have a large amount of boiling water so the temperature doesn't drop. And then we fish the vegetables out as soon as they've blanched long enough. Now, if you're julienning or making French green beans, you don't need to go for the 2 or 3 minutes that the Ball Blue Book recommends. And that's because it's going to blanch really fast.
If you blanch regular French cut green beans that are not old tough beans for the normal amount of time, which I think for green beans is like 4 minutes.
3 to 4 minutes according to Ball.
Right. You're going to wind up with something that's pretty well cooked to start with, and then when you freeze it, it's going to get mushy.
Yeah. So our process is we go through the process of blanching the vegetables, we pull them out, put them into ice water. Cold water, what we want to do is stop that cooking right away.
Right.
Because no matter what you call it, blanching, cooking,
And it really needs to be ice water.
it gets really hot really fast. You want to go ahead and cool it down as fast as you can. The next step is we pat the vegetables dry. Now, we have a deep freeze that's at 15 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit. We put a half sheet tray in the freezer, get it cooled down, we bring it out and lay out those vegetables on that sheet pan in a single layer without a lot of them being clumped together. We want them spread out as well as we can.
Right.
And then we put that right in the deep freeze. Well, we don't put a lot of them in the deep freezer at one time because what we want is we want that 15 degrees below 0 to cause that vegetable to freeze quickly. Now, if you've ever had liquid nitrogen based ice cream, it's really fabulous. It's great to watch. It takes 2 or 3 minutes in a mixer, but what they do is they'll pour an amount of liquid nitrogen into the material that you're making the ice cream with. And what that does is it makes the ice crystals really small. Now the final thing is when you reheat those vegetables, you know, what we've found to be most effective, for us at least, if we're trying to reheat something like green beans, is we'll put them in the microwave and we'll reheat them until they're hot. We're not trying to cook them because the amount of time that they blanched combined with the freezing process combined with being reheated,
They're ready.
they're perfectly fine to eat.
Yeah, a regular pack of 2 servings of green beans only takes about 2.5 minutes in the microwave.
We put our frozen vegetables from those trays into Ziploc bags. We press as much of the air out of the bag as we can.
And we do not have a frost-free freezer.
Yeah, if you don't know about it, frost-free freezers heat the freezer up periodically, so you run a risk of defrosting your vegetables.
Right, especially something as fragile as a single green bean. If you're putting your green beans, or anything else for that matter, into the freezer, and even with vacuum sealing and everything else, you're still getting frost crystal growth. That means you're getting enough of a cycle in the freezer that you won't maintain super good quality.
The next question we had, or comment we had, was from Deb.
Right, she wanted to know why we didn't build a fence around our garden to keep the critters out.
Well, we actually have a fence, and at the end of this show, I'll put a link in the description to some videos that we've done about how we make a fence to keep out as much of the things as we possibly can.
Right.
The primary one is rabbits.
Right, and we can keep the rabbits out of the yard.
We have a surefire way of keeping the rabbits out, not a problem. Now,
We do know of one fenced yard, one fenced garden on the way up to Flagstaff that has no critter problems.
at all.
It's a cage.
So the real trick for us is the things that are busy destroying our garden and that we're actually trapping out with rat traps are mice. Well, they're not coming around very much anymore.
No, we get them once in a while.
We get rats of a variety of kinds.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem with rats is they'll climb.
Oh, they climb beautifully.
And they'll climb over a fence. We're not going to be able to actually fence them out, so we trap them.
Mm-hmm.
The real problem is squirrels. Squirrels are a big enough animal that they can come in and eat a lot of product very, very quickly.
Well, they can take an entire plant with them.
Well, they've taken some kohlrabi.
Yeah.
That's our story about fences and fencing and why we do things the way we do here. The last point is a really long conversation, and it has to do with how do you preserve, or how do you conserve water in the desert. Because if you've been watching for a while, you know that we've had a few water delivery problems here on the homestead.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, we have those mostly solved. I'm able to go haul water, which I've been doing for the past many weeks, so we don't lose our garden. But how do we conserve water? Well, when we got down to 250 gallons in our water tank, we really put the screws on conserving water. When we were first married, we lived in New Mexico. We lived First we lived in a quadplex apartment, and then we lived in a detached house, which was really nice.
Right.
But at both of those places, water was at a premium.
Yeah. That was our biggest bill every month, $11.
So what we used to do is we'd put a large trash can
Yeah.
in the laundry room when we lived in the detached house. We'd run the washing machine and have the water go into that trash can.
Right.
And then we'd carry the water
In
by
buckets.
buckets out to water our garden. And it worked very, very well. We had nice flowers, and pretty soon the neighbors were asking, how did we afford...
Well, they saw me hauling the buckets of water out there, and then they'd see me hang it was before more dryers, so they'd see me hang the laundry on the line. They're not silly. They figured that one out real quick.
So they figured it out, and they talked to Irene, and she said, yeah, I just run the water into a trash can and carry it out with buckets and water the plants.
Yeah.
So a bunch of our neighbors started doing the same thing,
Yeah.
and the street became really gorgeous.
Yeah, it's
So,
really funny.
one thing that you can do to conserve water is look at your actual appliance usage. There's only two of us. We use a front load washer, which is very, very water efficient. And unfortunately, because of where we live, we found out that we need to run more water because it's too efficient.
Yeah, the front load washers are not really designed for what I'd call dirty clothes. Yeah, I mean,
Dirty like we get. You may not know the number one use of water in the American household.
That's easy.
It's flushing toilets. And this is a touchy topic.
We do not flush the toilet every time it gets used.
Well, the rhyme around here is if it's yellow,
let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down. And that's a pretty standard rule in a lot of camps. In other words, if you have a summer camp or something like that, because you're trying to not overuse the septic or the water system.
Now the other thing is, we don't use paper plates as a general rule, but
In a severe emergency,
we have a stash of paper plates and other disposable items that we don't like to use, but we will use. And we did use when we got down to under 200 gallons of water in our tanks.
when you go to wash your hands, now I recognize washing your hands is a big issue right
Washing
now.
your hands, washing your face, brushing your teeth.
Right.
All of those normal things fall in that same category.
Right. Well, you know, you go to brush your teeth, you wet your toothbrush, you turn the water off. You put your toothpaste on there, you brush your teeth, then you only use as much water as you need. You turn it on and off. And yes, you will put more wear and tear on your faucet, but your faucet's still going to last years and years and years. You're going to save thousands of gallons of water turning it on and off. Washing hands. You know, you watch me come in the bathroom, I turn on the water, get a handful of water on the soap bar, turn it off, scrub. You know, now sometimes you have to turn it on and off more than once because if you're really gunky. And in the kitchen, I do not hesitate to run the water more if I've been handling something like raw chicken or something like that, because I have to scrub under my fingernails then.
Yeah, there's things that you need to not be afraid to use water.
For your average hand wash, you really don't need to run 5 gallons of water.
Now you can also save a lot of water if you're taking a shower. Turn the water on, get wet, turn the water off, soap up, turn the water on, rinse off. So, I'll tell you what, why don't you put down your favorite water saving tips in the comments below, and we'll share them in a future video. Now, we do want to do 1 or 2 shout outs here. One is, if you know Sandy from suburban Homestead, Wyoming, she's a fabulous artist. She has a great channel. She's doing a lot of really interesting things. I'll put a link to her channel down in the show notes. Definitely go take a look at her.
Yeah. She's been making stepping stones lately for the garden, which are gorgeous. She was actually giving some away because she achieved some sort of, I forget what her number was.
I think 30,000 subscribers.
Something like that. I don't remember. But it was cool. I enjoyed watching her techniques.
Now, there's another channel that you probably watch, and that's Dan at Home in the Sticks. He lives in Mississippi, East Central Mississippi.
Yep, Dan and Skyla.
And he's doing some really interesting things there. Just like here, not everything goes right all the time.
Well, they've had a weather channel, the way that weather channels weather challenge this year. They've had the opposite problems. They would have like 30 days of rain. Well, we're having 3 months of no rain.
So go take a look at his channel. There'll be a link to his channel down below. And don't forget to watch our friend CB from CB's Greenhouse and Gardens. He's a past master at doing hydroponic peppers and hydroponic tomatoes. He grows unbelievable crops in pretty small space. This year,
First they got smashed with a frost.
which killed a lot of plants.
Right. And recently they've gotten just roasted alive. Oh, and they got hit by the hurricane too.
So he's had his challenges. We've had our challenges. But all of us are busy muddling along. Well, listen, thanks very much for watching. We hope this was of some interest to you. It's something we've been meaning to do for a while. We have a few more Q&As that we need to do. And in the future, if you have a question that you'd like us to answer on camera, in your notes, in the comment, please say #AskBrainstorm, all one word. It'll make it easier for us to find them when we're getting ready to do one of these things. We read every single comment, and we comment back on most every comment.
Pretty much, yeah.
So if you don't see a comment back from us, or at least a heart on the comment that you made, drop us a line and ask us what happened.
Yeah.
We've been having a lot of interesting problems with YouTube Studio Creator.
Right.
It happens. Thanks very much for watching. Take care of yourselves. Hope you have a great day. We're in for about 10 days of 100-degree plus weather. So
yeah, it's cooled right down now. It's down to 99.
Thanks for watching. We'll talk with you later.
Bye.
Bye.